You are listening to the FTWpodcast.com, where we talk about wrestling in all of its laughable glory. Here's a clip from this week's episode.
This week in an interview, TNA's Traci Brook said, quote, "I just wish TNA would get another show." Yeah, I just wish TNA would get another show. I think, hands down, TNA has some of the best talent. Fair enough. I really do. I love the fact that they're doing the whole Wrestling Matters thing because it's the exact opposite of what the other company, and it's really neat. They just need more time. I think that's all TNA needs is just another show. Your response?
Well, we've been saying that TNA's needed another show because they got so much fucking talent on their roster, but the guys don't get time to showcase it. You know, we've said
TNA
that.
has. I'm sorry, Joe. Finish your.
I mean,
I thought.
Well,
we always complain about guys who are like we see like Samoa Joe and Pope one week, we don't see him for another month.
yeah.
You know that.
Motor City Machine Guns.
Right.
You know, that kind
You'll
of
see
stuff.
that kind of thing. I mean, having another show, a supplemental show, even if it's an hour long, of actually wrestling, could help them out. The problem is getting the viewers there.
Well, what people are forgetting is TNA has another show. They have Explosion, which is aired everywhere in the world except here in the U.S.
So it doesn't count.
Thank you.
Well, what I'm saying is, rather than get a new show, talk Spike into airing Explosion, like, you know, hell, go back to what they used. Go back to like the '80s or something, and have them air and have Spike TV air Explosion like Saturday morning or something.
Oh, so I can eat it with my cornflakes. Awesome. Mike, what do you think? Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that they need another show. I think they actually need to do less. I mean, it seems like their pay-per-views are, granted, I'm sure they're great to watch, but they just lose so much money with pay-per-views. No one buys them. I think they actually need to do less. I think they need to look at their roster and the people that they don't need, and to get those guys like Samoa Joe and the Motor City Machine Guns more time. I mean, did we really need 20 minutes of Sting and Hulk Hogan arguing over what happened back in 1997? I mean, that could have been two matches that they had, two 10-minute TV matches they could have had on there, instead of guys who haven't really mattered to the wrestling business in God knows how many years, hogging all the TV time.
Exactly. You watch, I mean, if you see clips, if you see clips of TNA house shows, there's maybe, I mean, you're looking at maybe the audience that Ring of Honor can pull in on one of their house shows. And this is a nationally broadcasted, you know, wrestling organization. Mike's absolutely right. They got to cut back. They should not be expanding. They need to make sure that they can grow their ratings and that their pay-per-view buys are enough to pay for the pay-per-view.
Well, we talked about previously, Paul Heyman had mapped out, cut the talent that's over 40. Exactly. Get rid of Flair, Hogan, Bischoff. How much time do they take up each week when you could be having Samoa Joe or the Pope or AJ and doing things around them? And Joe's mentioned it, you know, Mike, you mentioned it, and Joe's mentioned it too. Cutting back to a pay-per-view every other month, I definitely think would be something they should look at. They could get more heat. It's, you know, they're going to bring the buy rates up. I think that's a good idea. Yeah. He says, I mean, he literally says that's the only thing TNA needs is another show. Hell no. That is the last thing you need. They need to make changes. They need to make fundamental changes in their business and their business model to start with, and then maybe look at another show.
I'll do you one better on the cutting the pay-per-views. Cut them all. Do a quarterly Clash of the Champions on Spike TV.
So not even
one show every 3 months. You know, get Spike TV, give them 3 hours on their station to do a pay-per-view like show then, to blow off their matches quarterly.
So drop the whole pay-per-view model entirely?
Yeah, until they can get people that are willing, a decent amount of people who are willing to pay to see their matches. Yeah.
You know, yeah, you know, that's not a bad idea. I mean, this is going to be a little disingenuous of a comparison, but UFC does something very similar to that, where they do their own live events that are aired on Spike, and it's not like rehashes or anything. I think, Fight Night, Friday Night Fight Night, or whatever it is. I mean, it's different because UFC was, you know, it's much bigger than TNA, and they have their bread and butter is pay-per-views. But I mean, it wouldn't be unprecedented for Spike to kind of set aside a special amount of time in order to do a pay-per-view like event like that.
Yeah, and they can spend 4 months building up to Lutz Says versus Frank Gotch or whoever they're having on Impact these days.
Well, you've heard our thoughts, but now we want to hear from you. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter, and even join us live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. at theftwpodcast.com.